Welcome back to Food Allergy Friends, and in this session we are talking to Ruth Holroyd. Ruth is an author, blogger and allergy sufferer. So hi Ruth, how are you?
Hi Stella, thanks for having me on today. I'm very good actually. I'm sitting here looking out at the rain, which is making me very happy because it's dampening down some of the pollen, I hope.
Yeah, it's been so dry, hasn't it? The pollen count's been really high. And yeah, knowing a lot of people suffer with that, it can be really difficult. So
They say that the rain makes it worse because it brings it down, but I think initially it does help because it's in the air, but then it's all down on the ground and it blows about again when it dries. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts.
Okay, I don't suffer with hay fever, so I don't know that much about it really, other than it can be quite miserable if you've got it.
Yeah, it can. And it
Yeah.
links to food as well. It can link to food allergies because people get oral allergy syndrome, which I do. And it kind of feels like an allergy, but it's not a life-threatening allergy. So certain foods get really irritating when you eat them. They swell up, your lips itch, and it's because the food is very similar to the pollen, and your body is going, oh, birch pollen, because there's some kind of plant relationship going on. Things like peaches, carrots, apples for me to eat here, and then in winter I can eat them fine.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I don't suffer with hay fever, but I do get that sort of reaction with pineapple.
So you might have something going on there.
I could well do.
Cook it and it's fine. So do you find you can eat cooked pineapple and not raw pineapple?
No, I can't even eat it cooked, so I think it may be more than the oral.
That's a proper allergy, yeah.
Yeah. So would you like to tell us a bit about your experiences with allergies?
Gosh.
In general life?
I was born with allergies, although it took us a while, or my mum, I should say, a while to work out what was going on. So I've always had hay fever, been allergic to pets and things, and nickel and latex. And the food allergies were trickier to diagnose, but I'm allergic to peanuts, milk, wheat, soya, and some legumes as well. And I've kind of got used to it. I've had them all my life. I'm in my late 40s now, so you'd say I'm a bit of a veteran of it. But it kind of became a passion for me. When I was diagnosed, there was no Google, there was no way of finding out, and doctors didn't really know. The extent of advice from doctors was, I think you should stop eating that. Basically, you're allergic to that, it could kill you, and that's about it. Avoid nuts, no adrenaline. And it was actually kind of weird because I think it was easier in a way because I didn't really know how bad it was, and I certainly didn't feel like it was life-threatening because I didn't have adrenaline. Now when you've got the adrenaline, it does feel really, it makes it more kind of serious and people can find out what's going on now, which is great. So I think that's why I started blogging initially, because I couldn't find stuff out very easily. So I started sharing my experiences on my blog, which is 12 years old this month. How cool.
Wow.
I wrote some books. I wrote a self-help book about the psychological effects because that's been a really hard one for me. As my allergies have got worse over the years, I now get such a bad reaction that I'm unconscious, and I don't always, you come around in hospital, thank God, and I don't know what's happened to me. I don't know what has gone on. I don't know, hours past, days sometimes. I was in intensive care the last time, and I really struggled with that just the whole thought that anyone could make a mistake. It could be me and I could die today, tomorrow, next week. I don't know when it's going to happen, and it's like having an assassin waiting for you around the corner, and trying to learn to live with that has been really hard. So the book came from that, of like, I did a lot of therapy and I had so many notes, and then someone asked me to write a book, and it all came about at the right time. But this is when I need to write about it because so many people are hiding at home and limiting their lives because they're so scared. It is tough. A lockdown, great.
Yeah, I think as well with lockdown, it's given us more opportunities to talk online and to follow people online, and that it's been quite interesting actually, meeting new people. But I'm just wondering how you and your family coped when you were at school and if you went to college and uni and those sorts of experiences, and how you were treated during that time.
Looking back, it was awful, really awful. I think we coped because we didn't know how bad it was. I think my mum has said, like, now I'm 48 and she worries about me wherever I go, and she didn't really realize then how bad it was. I think as a mother you do know, because she would be driving me mad checking on me. Like if I'd had an anaphylactic reaction, I would just I would be very sick and go quite limp, and she wouldn't leave me, you know, checking on me in bed. And as a kid you're like, just go away. In person, you don't. She probably did know. You're like, I need to check that my child is still okay. But at school it was awful. They used to make me eat peanuts. I can remember getting sent home from school because the dinner lady made me finish them up, and I tried to say no, I'm allergic to them. It just wasn't understood. It wasn't kind of a thing. The school didn't even know probably that I had allergies. I just told her I can't eat them, and she said, you eat them up. There was just 2 peanuts on the edge of a really depressing looking salad. And so I then had packed lunches after that. That's not happening again.
No.
Not great at school, and I did get picked on a little bit, but more for my eczema. I probably got picked on for that because kids just don't understand why you've got bad skin and why you look like a leper. I had nuts thrown at me, and it wasn't really dealt with because people didn't know how serious it was. So I think things have probably got better, but I still hear about it a lot. Kids do get bullied, and I think it's almost got worse, the bullying. Now we have so much bullying going on social media, and I don't think people realise the seriousness of it, that you could, because it did happen to a little boy, didn't it? He died from people throwing cheese at him, I think it was, at school, which is just devastating.
Yeah, and there was another girl who had, she was allergic to pineapple, and she had girls chasing her with pineapple juice on their hands. And that must be so frightening. If you know you're going to react and have somebody deliberately coming at you with that item. And I think now it is really cruel. And, you know, now it is more widely known about, but there's still that, whether it's to do with they see people who with allergies as weak or what it is, I don't know why people have to pick on each other for that.
I think it's humans, we just do that. We pick on the weak ones, and other animals do it as well. Birds do it. It's horrible, but we do single out the people we think are different or the people we think are weak. And I think with allergies, they don't understand. Those children are not at all thinking ahead to the fact that they could kill another child. They are just being kids, as kids will. There'll be a bully and the others will join in, and they haven't thought it through. It's just something they're doing in the moment because it's funny, isn't it? They're just, are they really allergic? Bet they're not. Let's just see what would happen. It'll be hilarious. And I used to find peanuts in my school bag and have them thrown at me, and I just kind of got on with it. And it was horrible at the time. Those kids weren't actually really thinking, let's kill her. They just didn't. They thought it was funny. And I think we need to try and get that message across, because still people don't know that you could die. I still get asked questions like, well, how many nuts do you have to eat? And it's like, guys, I don't know, because I'm still alive. That's such a stupid question. Why are we even having that conversation? Just accept that I'm allergic to it, and don't question me, and let's all be kind and inclusive and help people to avoid these things.
Yeah. Do you think we've still got a way to go to get over the fact that people still think that allergy just means you don't like something?
And I think it's a language thing, that we've just been talking about Allergy Week. What does allergy mean? It means hay fever, which is not life-threatening. It means for some people an intolerance, which isn't life-threatening. You can get mild allergies that are pretty debilitating, causing quite severe symptoms, and you can get life-threatening allergies, and there shouldn't, that one word doesn't really cover it, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So much for people, and anaphylaxis isn't a word many people understand. It doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it?
No.
So I
No,
think it's that,
Mm.
yeah, we don't talk about it, we don't see it portrayed either in media.
No, and I think there's an awful lot more that we need to do between us all to raise the awareness about it and make people understand that this is serious.
Because like you said about being fussy and just a bit odd, I think that is what people think, because if you see somebody with eczema, you know, or bad skin or an allergy in a film or a radio or TV, they're usually a weirdo, a weak person, and that is part of their anxiety is coming out in their eczema and their allergies. And I see it so many times. Oh, the eczema's going away now, that person's not anxious anymore. And quite often that's not the case. Some of us are stuck with it. We're not weak, we're actually strong, trying to live with these horrible things.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but for me, stress does make things worse, but it doesn't cause it in the first place. And just by keeping me less stressed, it makes my condition easier, but it doesn't make me better.
No, it's not the cause.
No.
I think that is what a lot of people think, that we're just a bit pathetic. Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I think if a lot of people that don't have allergies actually could have them for a day, they might realise.
Or a week. Let's challenge people to go a week without one of our allergens. I think I'm going to do that.
No, that's not a bad thought.
Yeah, to try and cut milk out for a week. I challenge anyone to try and do that if they're not doing so at the moment. It's really not easy.
Not at all. Not at all. So another thing I wanted to ask you about is like how you deal with eating out, or don't you bother?
It's really hard, and it's such a massive subject. So I've just written a blog for someone about it, about how, you know, how getting ready to go back out, and I don't think I am yet. I've been out for a few drinks, but I get a lot of anxiety, and I do have places that I trust. So there's a place near me who are really good, but I still have issues trusting them, and I will check everything. And the chef is really good. He understands. Like, I will regularly ask, can you just check again? Like, they bring this amazing chocolate dessert he's made me, which is completely dairy free. And it comes out and it just looks amazing. And I'm like, I can't eat that because I haven't seen you make it. I can't.
Oh.
Sometimes I've sent it back and he comes out and he's like, I make these in batches and it gets frozen. And it's for special people like you so that you can have a nice dessert. I 100% it's safe and I will stand here with you while you eat it. And I'm like, tears rolling down my face. Really nice. And I do trust him, but I have to check. I just can't ever have it without checking, because the times when I've been bad have been, my bad reactions have been always from eating out. And that trust issue is huge, because there's so many people involved. I have to trust myself to take the right precautions. I have to trust the waiter or waitress that they've understood me. I have to trust all the staff in the kitchen. I have to trust the chef, and I have to trust that no mistakes have been made, that they're not lying, that they're not misunderstanding, that they're not passing the message on wrong. It's horrible, and I do struggle with it, but I'm getting ready because I want to go out. I like eating out, and I think it's part of our life as humans, as engaging as you get invited out for a meal, but not easy. And I have to, like, there's so many things that I do. I could talk about this. This is a big chapter about this in my book, of just the things I tell myself, which is that I am probably safe because only 1% of the few people who have anaphylaxis will die from it. It's very rare to die from it. You're more likely to get murdered or struck by lightning. 100% successful at surviving from it if it happens. So I tell myself that as well, although that's not what I want to happen. And I just have all these things that I tell myself that it's going to be okay, that I'm going to take all the precautions, and I just have to keep checking and trying to remember. And that anxiety is there to keep me alive. I used to really have a lot of problems with it and panic attacks and fight it and hate it, but it's trying to keep me safe. I have to be vigilant. If I didn't have that anxiety, I might start taking risks. So it's all about being prepared. And if I don't feel strong enough, I just won't eat. I'll just go out and have a drink, and I won't eat. Sometimes I just can't do it. If the anxiety is high, it's like, I'm not going to enjoy it, so I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, this is the thing. there's the fear there, isn't there, of knowing the possibility of what could happen. You don't want to wake up in the intensive care unit,
No.
and you don't want the other people who are around you when that happens to be going through that either.
No.
And it's that knock-on effect that it does affect the people around you as well.
Does.
Do you think it would make much difference if more food businesses, restaurants, etc., would adopt the allergen accreditation or a similar scheme? Would that give you confidence?
I think it would, because the Celiacs Association has a sort of scheme, don't they? But there isn't really one for allergens that I know of. I mean, some people do training and will then accredit that thing, but there isn't a nationwide scheme that I've seen. And I think it would, I think it would give me a bit of confidence. And if they have an allergen menu, especially where they've given thought to it, they've thought about what in their menu is okay.
Yeah.
So give me confidence. And like when they ask everyone, has anyone got an allergy? When you first go in, that gives me a bit of confidence. This is part of their process, and they clearly are making an effort, because so many kids, like teenagers, won't say. They'll just be thinking, I'm going to choose something safe, and I won't say anything, which is terrifying.
Mm.
So we do lots of things in my family. We like, my mum is probably the one I eat out with most, especially recently when we've been in lockdown, but I will always phone before, I will go in before, sometimes she will, just to talk to them. And if I'm there in front of them, I become a lot more human than just someone that's phoned up and said, I've got an allergy. So I go in, I meet them, I try and meet the chef, although that's hard to do. We always eat first session of the night when it's really quiet. So I will always go really early for a meal, and that is safer. Like a lot of chefs have said that to me. Don't turn up in the middle of a busy service and just without booking an allergy meal, and they'll try for you, but it makes it more risky for you. So I just have all these different things that I do to stay safe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having spoken to quite a lot of people that have food allergies and having them myself, also having been a chef myself, I can say from both angles, eat early, because it's easier then, because you get halfway through the session, they've had everything out in the kitchen, and there could be traces of everything everywhere. So there is a lot of responsibility on the customer to be aware for themselves and do these sorts of, or take these sorts of precautions.
I would say don't just turn up. I wouldn't really, it should be okay, we should be able to, but it's just difficult. I think it's better and safer if we take the extra precautions, and maybe one day it will be normal, like vegetarian meals, and it'll be so much safer. But for the time being, another thing that a lot of chefs do, which I think is really lovely, is they'll ask me, what do you want? And they'll do something slightly different. So then not only do they know this is the meal for that lady, their staff know that it's slightly different. I also know that it's slightly different, and there's less chance of me getting the wrong thing. Because quite often the meals all look the same, but mine, if you're without the gravy or without something that might be an allergen, does it look that different when it comes out? It could be. It's so many chances for mistakes to be made.
Oh yeah. And this is the thing, I think a lot of people just try and make our food the same as everybody else's, and that's where it can get confused. So like you say, if it looks a bit different, then the staff will know that dish is different, it's for this customer.
And that again, it takes a bit of planning, but I think once you've got your head around it, it shouldn't be that hard, much harder to do. No,
it really shouldn't be. And I know from the training that I deliver as well, we're encouraging food businesses to try and keep a separate area if at all possible, and if not, then clean down an area that is away from everything else.
Which is why being first in the kitchen is a good idea.
Definitely, so much more sensible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you like to tell us a bit about your book, your latest
Yeah.
book?
So, well, I've got two. I mean, how exciting is that? I've published this one, which is The Reluctant Allergy Expert. That came out right at the beginning of lockdown, which was kind of a bit of bad planning because we had so much planned, like all these events that I was going to be talking at, which none of them happened in COVID. But yeah, this one is brilliant. It's a guide mainly for adults, although there is a section in here about children, but I wrote it because I needed some more. I needed like help on the psychological side, and I would love to see proper therapy available tailored for people with allergies. That's not there at the moment, and it you can get CBT on the National Health, but it's quite old, the stuff that they're using, and it's quite kind of strict down one route. They're looking at things like habits and addictions and things like that, whereas this is a bit different. It's a fear never going to go away. Like a lot of fears are irrational and you can beat them, but this is always there. So everything in the therapy was useful, but it's not going to go away. I can't beat this one. So yeah,
it's learning to work with it and find your own positives,
accept it and realize how much I can do. I can eat all the other foods in the world that I'm not allergic to. Much I can do. I'm not anaphylactic all the time. It's just when I eat the wrong thing. But it's still there, that little voice. And then I wrote this one during lockdown, which is my eczema poems, which is called The Shape of Skin. And that was just really fun to write. And my skin's been pretty bad. So having lockdown when you've got bad skin's been quite good because I can hide. Poetry was coming out and I've written it all my life. I've written a load of allergy poems as well. So maybe I need to do an allergy poems book. But it was part of my therapy and my healing is to write. I'm a bit of a writer and I find that a lot of the poems came out about things that I was struggling with. And so I just decided to share them, and the feedback's been really good for both books, actually, really amazing.
Well, that's brilliant. So where are these available?
They're on Amazon as Kindle and paperback. So it's a live stream, actually. I'm so proud to be an author. You don't make an awful lot of money being an author. Amazon do, but the authors don't. But it's just so thrilling. I found all my old diaries during lockdown and I've written in there as 12-year-old Ruth, I want to be a writer. And I was told that I couldn't be, and I am. So I think that's a life goal met there with 2 books. I can I can die of anaphylaxis happy. I'm only joking.
Oh, that's brilliant. And you do a blog as well. Is that a regular thing or is that just ad hoc?
It's sort of ad hoc. It's fairly regular. I go through periods where I do less, but it's called whatallergy.com, and I just share things that I've discovered, things that I've learnt, little rants sometimes. There's a lot on there about writing. There's some really good stuff going on actually at the moment. Less around allergies, more around eczema. It would be great to see more around the allergy side too. And these are like universities are doing research into how different therapies can help kids with eczema come to terms with it. How writing can help with body image. And I'm sure it could help with images around eczema, allergies as well, because we do all feel a lot of shame and guilt and like it's our fault that we're allergic and that we are slightly broken and something wrong with us and less worthy. And there's a lot of, you grow up with that, being different, being excluded.
Yeah, and it's not easy, but like you say, we learn to live with it. We find ways to cope, and all the time we've got good people, family and friends around us who will support us. We can deal with it. Yeah,
I'm so fortunate in that regard, and yeah, thank you to all my friends and family. They're amazing.
Oh yeah, they're great. Wouldn't be without them. Probably wouldn't be here without them.
Well, no, they pick me up, and a lot of the times they do call me out. It happened the other day. One of my friends was like, are you going to check what oil? We ordered some chips and I was just ordering plain chips, and my friend's like, are you going to ask them what oil they're cooking that in? And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
To ask, because I was just saw someone else walking away with a thing of chips, and I thought, oh, that'll be safe for me.
Oh yes, that's something else we have to deal with, isn't it? It's the deep fat fryers.
Anything could be going in there, yeah.
Yeah, all and sundry goes in there. I got quite frustrated at one restaurant we went to. They'd done a gluten-free menu and said that, you know, the chips are free from, but are they cooked in the same fryer as everything else? Well, yeah, then they're not free from. So,
They're probably less dangerous than, I'm not quite sure what the properties of oil are and how things are, but I have had chips sometimes where it's had some cheese welded onto it. So you know something with batter's been in there and it's got onto the chips. It's a Russian roulette thing, isn't it? It's not worth.
Yeah, it's not worth taking the risk unless you know. So, yeah, please always ask.
I know.
Oh dear. Well, it's been lovely to talk to you, Ruth. I wish you all the best with the books.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll chat again one day.
Yeah, it's been great getting to know you over lockdown. So
yeah, it's been great. Okay, that's lovely. Thanks very much.
Thank you.